Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife, the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information. Today, we're joined by Kim Tirapelle, dietitian for Active Bariatric Nutrition.
Yeah, so I'm a registered dietitian, and I primarily work with bariatric clients who have had bariatric surgery, and now they are training for, fitness goals that might be, they want to gain muscle mass, or they're wanting to run a marathon or a cycling event or a triathlon, or really any fitness goal. Any goal that you're moving your body, I think is great. And if we can optimize the nutrition to help with that, definitely happy to help with those clients.
Stay with us for this informative and entertaining discussion. Welcome to episode 58 of My Wife, the Dietitian.
We have a special guest with us today, Kim Tirapelle, dietitian based in California, who runs Active Bariatric Nutrition.
I have no idea what that all means, but we will find out all about it when Kim joins us. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone to check out the Facebook page, the Instagram page, our new YouTube page, and also our website. All of them are My Wife the Dietitian. You can search up. The website is mywifetherd.com. And we love hearing your questions. If you are interested in emailing us, we'd love to hear from you. You can do that at mywifetherd@gmail.com. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Comments, reviews, rating the show, thumbs up, likes, however it works in your world. All good for us.
And we can even read your email online if you want us to share it with the audience.
Yeah.
A lot of people have similar questions. That's the thing.
Yeah, but we won't embarrass anyone. Don't worry. Speaking of that, do you think our guest is ready?
Yes.
Yeah, she was backstage there. I don't know if she was pacing back and forth. I think she's probably ready to go now, though. So shall we bring her out? I think we should bring her out. All right. Hey, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We'd love to hear more about what you do. I heard you on the Dietitian Success Center podcast with Krista Coe, and it's amazing your specialty with Active Bariatric Nutrition. Can you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm a registered dietitian, and I primarily work with bariatric clients who have had bariatric surgery, and now they are training for, fitness goals that might be, they want to gain muscle mass, or they're wanting to run a marathon or a cycling event or a triathlon, or really any fitness goal, just, wanting to feel better in the gym when they're working out. And so I found that in the last 16 years as a dietitian, I've practiced in sports nutrition as well as in bariatric clinic surgery centers, that there was just kind of this void of, hey, I got my surgery, I've lost all this weight, and now I want to change my body composition, or I want to change, I want to work on this goal of training for a marathon, and I have no idea how to adjust my nutrition to be able to fuel those types of goals. And there's just not a ton of information out there. And so with a lot of the experience that I'd had in the past of working with athletes of all different, levels, and then again, working in the surgical center, I was like, these two areas overlap in such a interesting and neat way where I can apply the information from sports nutrition research, but apply that in a way that it's going to be helpful for a bariatric client, and how can they adjust their nutrition to basically fuel those workouts. So it's just been an area of passion, and a lot of my experiences have been in those two main nutritional areas. And so I decided to open up my own private practice. I opened up, in March of 2022, I opened Active Bariatric Nutrition, and I work one-on-one virtually with clients in basically helping them address their nutrition so they can do all these cool new goals.
That is awesome.
Can you just explain what bariatric surgery is too, for those of us who don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah. So just to kind of give it summary. So bariatric, it means relating to or specializing in the treatment of obesity. So it's the branch of medicine that deals with the causes and the prevention and the treatment of obesity.
Okay.
Basically it's helping patients to lose weight through a reduction of overall food intake, also in malabsorption of nutrition. So meaning it reduces the amount of nutrients that your body can absorb. It's called metabolic in bariatric surgery because it also impacts the hormones, the gut hormones that tell us when we're hungry or when we're full. Those are also impacted by bariatric surgery. So all in all, those different modalities help with weight loss through reducing overall intake, absorption of nutrition goes down, as well as impacting the hormones.
Gotcha. Okay. So bariatric is like the field, and then there's the surgery itself that's and you're dealing with the patients that have had the surgery, is that correct?
Yes. So everyone that I work with has already had their surgery. Now, I do get oftentimes, I'll get questions of folks that haven't had surgery yet, but they're preparing for it and they might want to, how can I start addressing my nutrition? But I primarily work with post-bariatric clients.
And can I ask it, as far as the surgery, what's a typical amount of weight that's removed or lost, or what's the process? They're removing fat from the body. Is that kind of?
No, let's talk about kind of the different surgeries. So basically there are different metabolic and bariatric surgery procedures. The four main options that are, primarily performed here in the United States. The first one being called the adjustable gastric band. And this is just a band that's placed around the top part of the stomach, and it reduces the capacity of the stomach, which then reduces food intake. So basically this band, kind of, if you can picture a band going around the top part of your stomach, it is tethered to a tubing that's attached to a port that's placed under the skin and the abdomen, and saline can be injected into that tube that basically fill these little balloons that are inside this band. And what that does is it kind of puts a squeeze on the stomach. And so when you eat food, it comes in, it hits that band, and that tells your brain, hey, I'm full. And so basically it just reduces intake, and it's a non-metabolic operation, meaning it does not impact gut hormones.
Right.
Whereas there are other procedures that do impact gut hormones, and these are the more common ones. The band that I just mentioned, that has really decreased in prevalence over time. Over the last, I would say, 10, 15 years, the band, what used to be more popular, it's really been reduced because there's been some side effects and some issues with band erosion and things. So they've found that there's these other surgeries that are a little bit, more effective without some of those side effects. So some metabolic procedures that reduce overall intake and impact absorption of nutrition include the sleeve gastrectomy and the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. And these two surgeries account for nearly 90% of all operations performed worldwide.
Wow.
The Roux-en-Y gastric bypass is where basically the stomach is divided into two parts. It creates a small pouch at the top, and then part of the small intestine called the jejunum, which is the second part of your small intestine, it's attached to this new small stomach. So basically your stomach is reduced in size. Food goes in there. It then enters immediately into the second part of your small intestine, which means it's bypassing the first part of your small intestine.
Okay.
And so you have less of that, intestine that absorbs nutrition. So in this surgery, you're reducing intake because your stomach's smaller, and you're bypassing a part of the intestine, which reduces absorption. So that's kind of a two-way, factor in terms of how it impacts weight loss. And that also impacts those gut hormones as well. And then the sleeve gastrectomy, which is now the most common surgery in the United States, the sleeve gastrectomy reduces the stomach size. So you remove 75 to 80% of the stomach, which is the fundus, which is the large part of the stomach. And basically what that does is it looks like a sleeve. That's how it's got its name. It looks like a sleeve that's remaining, which is a narrow tube. And so essentially your stomach is smaller, but it does not touch the intestines in any way. So in this surgery, we're just basically reducing the capacity of the stomach.
Wow. Okay. That's so that's 90% of the surgeries are Roux-en-Y and gastric sleeve.
Yes, those are the most common. And I won't get into the duodenal switch is an even more malabsorptive procedure that kind of combines the sleeve and the bypass into one surgery. And it's you bypass even more of the intestine. And so that's another surgery that is done in the United States, but it's less common because the severe malabsorption of nutrients is, that's not something that a lot of folks want to choose to have if possible.
That's what I was thinking. Actually, all of these, it's just screaming like nutrient deficiency, especially cutting out the small intestine, where that's where you absorb a lot of your nutrients.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we're just bypassing. So the intestines stay in place, but you're bypassing them. Nutrients do still travel down the bypassed part of the intestine, and then they meet lower in the intestine where like nutrients and your enzymes meet to break food down. But because you're not having food go through the entire intestinal tract, you don't have that, the mucosal cells that are helping to absorb nutrients into your body. So those calories, the carbs, proteins, fats, they're not being absorbed fully. And so that then, of course, reduces your body's overall absorption of those nutrients and calories. And that, again, contributes to weight loss. But yeah, it can lead to deficiencies if you are not really diligent with, your vitamin and mineral supplementation. And that is an absolutely critical piece to this treatment.
And that's where you come in, Kim.
Yes,
Right.
yes, paired with the nutrition part. Yep.
And with the gastric, I'm just wondering, in bariatric wards, does every one of them have a dietitian as part of the team? Do you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So multidisciplinary teams generally include, so you'll have your surgeons, you have your, a bariatric nurse, you'll have a psychologist and a registered dietitian, and they all play in, and of course, medical assistants and so forth. But those are kind of the key components of a multidisciplinary team within a bariatric surgery center.
Right. And that's for follow-up after the surgery. Like they have obviously a medical team during surgery and then for follow-up. And how long, like if someone was going into the hospital to have this, how long would they be followed up, like on average?
Yeah. So I'll just say, so first of all, they actually come in before surgery, and most surgical centers will require a certain amount of sessions with a dietitian or a psychologist. Now, every surgical center is different. So those pre-op requirements will be different or can be determined by your insurance provider. But generally speaking, you get this, you work with the dietitian or psychologist, make sure that you're, making these changes ahead of the surgery so that you have good long-term success. And then after the surgery, again, it's going to depend upon the surgical center's kind of process that they go through. But, in the surgical center I worked in the last 10 years, they saw me I called them a week after surgery. I talked to them at 2 months post-op, 6 months post-op, and then 1 year and each year annually thereafter when they did lab work. So I followed up with them frequently because, of course, the nutritional piece is so critical after the surgery.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And like I said, every place is different.
I was going to ask you, like the goal of the surgery is, I guess, weight loss. Is that like the main goal, or is there other sort of nutritional goals associated?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the thing about bariatric and metabolic surgery is that it does help with improved blood sugar control. It helps with reduction of appetite. It helps with hypertension. It helps with lipid panel, because as you lose this weight, because of course, yes, the weight loss is the main end result that you want, so to speak. But you get all these other benefits too. Improvement in sleep. Sleep apnea. A lot of times, folks won't have to use that anymore. As they lose weight, they're having more, ability to, move, have better flexibility, mobility. And all these things are positives that are a result of, the surgery itself in terms of the weight loss.
Right.
But the gut hormone improvement and the lipid profile and things like that we see, I mean, it's just exciting because people really it's almost like a new lease on life, a new opportunity to really restart and refocus. And I would also argue too that having bariatric surgery, I'll hear folks say, people just getting the surgery, it's the easy way out. And I go, gosh, it couldn't be farther from the truth, because just because you had bariatric surgery doesn't mean you don't have to focus on exercise and changing your diet and mental health and all these other things. The surgery is just one more tool in your tool chest. And so that paired with the benefits that you get in the other areas, but you have to keep working in those areas, too, to really see that full benefit of the surgery. So I think it really impacts all areas of life. And because obesity is a chronic disease, okay, it's not just, they're not eating enough and they're not moving enough. No, there's so many other factors that come into this. It is a lifelong chronic disease. And so it has to be treated lifelong. And folks that get the surgery, hopefully, go into the surgery with that mindset of like, look, this isn't the easy way out. I have to adjust my nutrition. I have to exercise. I have to address mental health. It's a lifelong, those are lifelong things to focus on.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained that, because I mean, myself included, I'm thinking, well, why can't you just go on a diet?
Yeah.
But like you said, it is, there's a lot more to it than that. And this is giving people that chance that they deserve, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many factors that go into it, and other, other conditions that can lead to weight gain, that weight gain process. And so again, like I said, it's a disease. It's literally obesity is a chronic disease. It's a progressive disease, and it does need different treatments and therapies to really address it for life.
Right, right. And what's the process as far as after the surgery? How long until someone's kind of like at their where they want to be?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As far as their weight and feeling healthy and that sort of thing.
Right. And I forgot to answer that earlier. So generally speaking, so each of the surgeries have, how much it's called excess weight that the surgeries generally produce weight loss. And so, for example, I believe, I'm saying this from memory, from listening to surgeons when they would do our presentations. I believe the gastric sleeve results in about 60 to 70% of excess weight. So if that would mean if you have 100 pounds to lose, you're losing on average, 60 to 70 of those 100 pounds. The gastric bypass is slightly higher. I believe it's 65 to 75% of excess weight can be lost from the gastric bypass. So typically weight loss occurs in the first year to year and a half. What I typically see is for folks that have more weight to lose, you might see more drastic amount of weight loss in a shorter period of time because they have more to lose. And then there's the folks that kind of lose more gradually. Everybody's a little bit different with that rate of weight loss. I always remind folks, do not compare to your, mother, brother, sister, husband who had surgery, because everyone's journey is different, and how much weight you have to lose, your ability to exercise, if you have any other health conditions, all those things will play a role in your weight loss, trend after the surgery. But typically most folks will see the significant amount of weight loss occur in that first year to year and a half. And so, like I said, those percentages kind of give you an idea of how much you would lose from the surgeries.
And that's not from the surgery. There's another surgery where you go, what is it, liposuction, where you're going in and you actually get like fat sucked off your body.
Yeah, that's not
this at all. Okay.
No.
Just to make sure that people understand that, because this is setting yourself up to lose weight, but the surgery itself doesn't take weight off.
Well, it does, in the fact that the surgery itself is basically manipulating your physiology. It's reducing the amount of food. Yeah, it's making your stomach smaller. So, or the lap band, for example, which is just basically making you feel full sooner. So it's manipulating your body. And then, like I said, with the procedures like the bypass, the sleeve, the duodenal switch, there's also that impact of the gut hormones being changed as well. So it's definitely more of an actual physiological change in the body.
Yeah, it's setting the stage, but you still have to do the work and continue doing it in order to see the results.
Yeah, you bet. Exactly.
Interesting. Okay, I'm glad you explained that, because I literally knew nothing about it. 15 minutes ago, I was pretty green on this topic. So there we go.
Yeah. And that's where you come in, Kim, in terms of people that are looking to become physically active, maybe run marathons and get like really into physical activity. And Active Bariatric Nutrition is your name of your company. And I just think that is so cool. How do you help them, and what are your services?
Yeah. So I work, one-on-one. So obviously, with everything that happened from the COVID, we were saying before we were recording that, the few benefits of COVID meant we all had to kind of get more into this virtual world. And, I having worked in a surgical center the last 10 years straight, I just decided at one point that I wanted to be able to do more with clients long-term that had specific fitness goals. Because as I mentioned, there seemed to be this kind of void of information and research for active bariatric clients, meaning people have had surgery, they lose their weight, and now, okay, I want to start training. But when you think about it, as we just talked about how the body is now different, they can't eat a large volume like a typical athlete can. Oh, I want to run a marathon. I haven't had bariatric surgery. I can eat 3,000 calories in a day, not a problem, right? Because I have the full capacity of my stomach and my intestinal tract to absorb nutrition and eat, however much I really need to, right? Whereas a bariatric client doesn't have that because their body's been permanently changed. And so what I found was people had this kind of issue of, gosh, Kim, I want to do all this cool, these cool new goals, but I'm tired all the time, or I can't feel good during the workouts. I'm fatiguing really soon. And what I found was there's just kind of this void of information, and how do I change my bariatric nutrition to mimic more of sports nutrition, and where's the overlap there? So basically I kind of pull those two pieces together, and I work with folks that have, whether they want to just gain muscle mass, they're changing their body composition, or they have specific fitness or training goals like, endurance training training or, a triathlon or whatever it might be. I help them basically, we work together to create a meal plan that helps meet their calories or their macronutrient goals that'll be optimal for their particular fitness goal. I will work with them in looking at their bariatric vitamin and mineral supplements, optimizing those. I help them develop fueling program to help basically mimic their training program. So I call that nutrition periodization. That's basically mimicking your nutrition to match what you're doing for training. Help them with their fluids, race day plans, things like that.
That's amazing. It never occurred to me that they would have to train and eat differently because of their body composition or how it's changed, through the surgery.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense. And you're the perfect person for that with your background, because you did a lot of sports nutrition as well, right?
Yeah. So when I first became a dietitian, I worked in a hospital, and I happened to cover the bariatric floor. That was kind of my first foray into, covering bariatrics. But then after that, I'd been an athlete myself. I played Division I soccer at the University of Illinois. I had a background in sports, always played sports, always had interest in it.
Awesome.
And then kind of got more interested in the nutrition side of it. So I had always thought when I became a dietitian, I would be a sports dietitian, meaning, just working with universities or professional athletes. And
Right.
I did do that for a number of years. I was actually a team dietitian at Fresno State University, which is nearby where I am, for 7 years. I taught sports nutrition at Fresno State. I worked with professional athletes out of a physical therapy company that I worked with from several years. So I was able to get that, part of the sports nutrition aspect fulfilled. And then there was this position that I, found in terms of going back into bariatrics. And I was like, I love that, working with that group as well. So I kind of had an overlap of a few years where I worked at the hospital system and was still doing the sports nutrition stuff, and just fully moved over into bariatrics after a few years because it just got a little bit too crazy. But that background helped me to really just have this information and experience that I can apply to my bariatric clients. So it's been a whole journey. And I always tell folks, you never know as a dietitian where your experiences, things that you did in the past might optimally help you, later. So
Absolutely.
It's been a path.
Yeah. It's so awesome. And looking at your podcast, all your episodes that you just started in October of 2022, eh?
Yes, the podcast. Yep.
Yeah.
What's it called? The podcast, what is it called?
It's called Active Bariatric Nutrition, just the same as my company.
Okay, perfect. And your company is like a .com website, right?
So it's activebariatricnutrition.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just looking, like, the first episode was on bariatric versus sports nutrition guidelines. I listened to that, and it was just like, that's where it piqued my interest, because I love the niche that you have. And it's so, like you said, there's a gap in knowledge out there, and you're filling that because of your background, and you're helping people that want to start to get active after their bariatric surgery, and they want to have a new lease on life, as you said. And the guidelines, like sports guidelines, are so different, like sports nutrition, than
Totally.
what they need. And just some of the topics are amazing, like just recovery nutrition, hiking nutrition for bariatric athletes, everything you wanted to know about fluids, electrolytes, and hydration. So all these topics, I mean, people can go to your the podcast provider they use and look up Active Bariatric Nutrition, because I think it's just, there's such a wealth of information there. And it just gives people hope too, that there is, a life after bariatric surgery. And it's
definitely,
it's not just a Band-Aid solution and go back to how, you were before, but you can actually improve your physical health and mental health and everything that comes along with that.
Yeah,
that's amazing. It must be really rewarding working with people who want to make that change as well.
Yeah, oh gosh, I love it. I love seeing folks just, that's, I think, one of the main reasons I wanted to open my business was, when you work in a hospital system, you kind of, you see your patients and they come and go, and you kind of, I felt like, there's so much more, there's so much more we could do. And, you're somewhat limited when you work in a, hospital setting. And I really just wanted to have the chance and and really be able to work longer term one-on-one with folks to help them. Because as we were saying earlier, when you have the surgery and we're changing your physiology, it then impacts how you metabolize nutrition. And so, for example, with athletes, as you were just saying, Sandra, like the difference between bariatric nutrition and sports nutrition, for example, is, bariatric nutrition is mostly focused on protein. It's lower carbohydrate. You can't just eat, real sugary or sweet or starchy, high fat types of foods because they don't tolerate it as well. And so then when you look at sports nutrition guidelines, which are like high carbs, right? You still focus on protein, but the main, macronutrient for athletes is carbohydrate, right? To fuel muscles and to fuel energy and to fuel your workout. And yes, protein's important too, but we look at higher calories, more carbs, and whereas bariatrics is almost the exact opposite, like less calories, less carbohydrates. And so there just was this vacuum of like, you can't really, how am I supposed to live? Am I supposed to eat the bariatric way or am I supposed to eat the sports nutrition way? And so by combining those two areas and of course, each person being different, it's just been really enjoyable to see folks, kind of move outside of that initial post phase where they're getting through that weight loss phase and then go, hey, I can start to eat a little bit more. I can try to optimize by maybe eating a little bit more carbohydrates pre and post workout or, optimizing protein. It's just been a joy. It has just been an absolute, I'm so glad that I've been able to do this because I'm certainly found my area that I just love and I'm really glad to have done it.
Oh,
That's
and
awesome.
you could just see in your YouTube, your interviews, you do the YouTube. So it's an interview live on video with clients that want to talk to you about their journey. And you can just see like how excited they are and how motivated and everything you've helped them with. Like, it's just, it's so inspiring to see, Kim. Like, that's why I reached out and I'm like, I really want to interview you because I just think what you're doing is so, it's such a specific niche and it's so important. And I think it's going to help so many people.
Oh, thank you. I hope so.
Hey, Kim, one more question. Your business, you're not focused on just like high-end athletes wanting to run marathons. I mean, if someone's had bariatric surgery and they just want to be able to walk around the block every day, like you'll help them with that too,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Just so people
I help
understand.
folks at any fitness level.
That's
any fitness level, because everybody's different. And I mean, to be honest, nobody's, for the most part, as we're all, I've got 3 kids. I'd like to think of myself as an athlete these days, but I consider an athlete anyone that's moving.
It's a different event. Yeah. Parenting. So you're still an athlete. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I tell that to folks because they'll message me and they're like, hey, I just want to go back to the gym and I'm just tired all the time. And I just need to feel better when I'm working out. Cause I do like to, I'd like to gain some muscle over time. I mean, so it doesn't have to be these big, huge, I want to run a marathon goal. It can just be, I need to feel better day to day with energy. And I'm clearly not fueling properly because I've started to exercise more and I just don't feel great. And I, would love to learn a little bit more about how to change my nutrition so I feel good,
Yeah.
And so absolutely, I work with folks of all, fitness levels. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be training for a marathon to work. I mean, I have folks that just, that are doing, maybe they don't even do marathons or things like that. They're doing yoga and Pilates and they just want to feel better in their workouts. I'm like, super. That's awesome.
Perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
Any goal that you're moving your body, I think is great. And if we can optimize the nutrition to help with that, definitely happy to help with those clients.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And just optimizing nutrition for anyone, like just looking at deficiencies and possible mineral deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, like macronutrients, like all of that is important for anyone. But with bariatric surgery, like post bariatric surgery, I think the client has very specific needs and things that you can really identify and help people with.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, vitamin and mineral supplementation is an absolute requirement. I used to tell folks at orientation, where I used to work, that when you sign on the dotted line to have bariatric surgery, you're signing on the dotted line also to be taking vitamins and minerals every single day for the rest of your life, because we are permanently changing how much your body can take in and how much it absorbs. Wow. And these vitamins and minerals are required for life to help round out your nutrition so that you can stay healthy. I get a lot of folks that'll just, I'm a year out and I haven't been taking my vitamins for a while. I don't feel very good. And I'm like, well, that's because you're likely, have some deficiencies developing because you have to take these in order to help round out your nutrition, because you can't meet them by just nutrition alone. The vitamins and mineral supplements are required. And so that then when we roll into someone that wants to be more active, those vitamins and minerals play critical roles. They play roles in metabolism of nutrition, how we break down carbs, proteins, and fats and produce energy from that. We create with vitamins and minerals, we are helping to carry oxygenated blood to the muscles so that we can exercise longer, harder. They all have incredibly important roles. And so if we're then not taking the vitamins and minerals and we want to have all these fitness goals, they don't add up, so you have to do that. And so I work with clients on that too, is making sure we're doing a good job on our vitamins and minerals. And some people, to be honest with you, I get clients that really don't get a lot of pre-op education. They just got the surgery and they really don't have a good understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. And so there's some folks that I kind of have to start with the basics, like, all right, we got to focus on protein. We got to get your fluids in. We got to get your vitamins in, and we start with that and then we, optimize it from there.
Yeah. It's a new learning curve for anyone who's going through that, I'm sure. So it's good that you're there to help them out.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the information, Kim.
Sure.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to just let the audience know?
No, I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm just so happy to have this going. And again, thank you for the opportunity today. But yeah, I guess I have Instagram page. You can follow me on Active Bariatric. I have a YouTube channel also, which I'm kind of newer to that, like you and I were talking about ahead of time. And I know you and I talked about too, having been on Krista's podcast, when I got started with this, I'm really not a huge social media person in terms of understanding how to do all the things, And so a lot of these pages have been a learning curve for me. And so I do have the YouTube, I have the Instagram, I have a Facebook and a TikTok. And then I have that podcast, the Active Bariatric Nutrition podcast. It's been really enjoyable to bring folks on to talk about, their journeys. But mainly my goal with the podcast is just to, hopefully be a good resource to get more information out there on nutrition for, active bariatric clients. And so it's been really enjoyable thus far. I'm learning a ton. And that's what I would, those are kind of the main areas that people can find me.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And one last question, just we always ask all our guests, if you're going to go to a potluck dinner or family gathering, what dish might you bring for your family and to contribute to the event?
I love this question. So I would bring my turkey chili. I love turkey chili.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I'm actually born and raised in the Midwest. I'm from Illinois. And so that always just reminds me of growing up watching the Chicago Bears. We always had chili and cornbread. And so over the years, we've kind of made changes. But yeah, I make a turkey chili with different beans. I use black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, throw some ground turkey, in there, some tomatoes, some corn. It's kind of like I just throw all these good, hey, let's throw some more vegetables in there.
That's how I
and my
cook.
kids actually like it. Yeah.
But your kids do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious. Oh my gosh. And then when did you move to California? What, how old were you and what stage of life?
Yes. So I moved out here before we got married. My husband is actually born and raised in California. Him and I met at the University of Illinois in the weight room, ironically enough, because we were both athletes. And
were you helping him or was he helping you?
No, we were the wrestling team and the soccer team happened to lift in the mornings at the same time. And so our two teams always would hang out, And so, that's funny. He was from here. So we came out after I graduated college. And so I've been out here since, 2003, came out to California from Illinois. And I always say, you can take the girl out of Illinois, but you can't take Illinois out of the girl. So I'm a huge Bears fan, Cubs fan. People around here, my poor children wear all the Chicago gear and they're like, what are you doing? Why aren't you wearing awesome. 49ers gear?
That's right.
That's funny.
It's been fun. I like it. I do like it. I can't complain about the weather. I do enjoy being in California.
That is true.
I bet. Oh, that's great. Well, we hope that people will check out your website, your YouTube, your podcast and the TikTok, and check out the services if they're interested in getting help from Kim Tirapelle.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Kim. It was great information, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's learned something today. So much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll talk to you again.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Cheers.
That was a captivating interview.
Yeah, that was really informative. She's a lot of fun, hey? She's just high energy and knows her stuff big time. That was a lot of fun to talk to her.
Yeah, I hope people will check out Active Bariatric Nutrition for more information, and we'll post that all in our show notes.
Yeah, give her a listen on her podcast or YouTube page and all her other formats there that she mentioned. And it sounds like she's all over the place, so check it out.
And next week is close to Valentine's Day.
Oh, dang. Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is this your way of reminding me?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget to buy me chocolate.
That's what our topic is all about. Chocolate and health.
Oh, there you go. Interesting. Well, that should be fun. I'm going to quiz you a lot on chocolate because it's one of those things that's like, is it good for you? Like, how do I know which ones are good and which box of chocolates to buy? That's right. Are we gonna get into all that?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, that'll be a good one to listen to. So I'll be here for that. All right. So we're going to remind you again to check out our Facebook page and our Instagram page and our YouTube page. And we're everywhere too. We're spreading our wings. It's kind of fun. So check those platforms out. And don't forget to check back next week and find out all about chocolate. It will be a good one. Have a good week, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.